let me introduce Ken Krawchuk.
First of all, thank you all for coming. This has got to be one of the biggest crowds of libertarians that I've seen since the last state convention. Well done. Well, we've been watching the TVs, we've been getting the reports on the phones, and the trends have now come through enough that I think we could say what's going to happen with this race. So I'm here tonight, right now, to announce that it looks like we have won. There's been victory this year with the Libertarian Party. Victory, because there are many kinds of victory. Sure, it looks like Mr. Rendell's going to be the next governor, but when? Could have been worse. Could have been worse. But when you look at it, the victories that we won were tremendous. Because in this race, we did something that the Libertarian Party has never done in Pennsylvania before. We set the agenda. We had them reacting to us. Do you know, when we were at PCN the other night, last Thursday night I was on PCN, immediately before me was Ed Rendell. Ed Rendell was there talking to a crowd of people, and he said, as Thomas Jefferson once said, he who governs, the government that governs least, governs best. Ha! Ed Rendell said this! And I'm thinking, now why is he saying that? This is not the sort of thing that a tax and spend Democrat would say. We're setting the agenda. Ed had to cancel my message, so he took on Thomas Jefferson. Mike Fisher, he was no better. Halfway through the campaign, he suddenly said, I've no new tax pledge. Yeah, that's what I'll do. He reached out, he grabbed the Libertarian life preserver to try and save his own campaign. Now, who's going to believe a Republican when he says he's not going to raise taxes? Nobody. And obviously nobody believes him because he's doing terrible in the polls. It's a libertarian agenda these guys were reaching for because they had to cancel out the libertarian message. This is why we're winning. We're winning not only because they're reaching for the libertarian messages, but because they had to go beyond that. They couldn't just take our ideas. They had to step on us. They had to hold us down. Mr. Fisher called for me to be barred from the debates. They were so paranoid that I was there after the second debate. Mr. Fisher was there less than 24 hours after the second debate, and he said, "Get this guy out of here!" And of course, you all know why.
Oh, man.
Because I have this document. It's my job description. And I was on C-SPAN facing Mr. Fisher, and he said, "I'm going to ban gambling." And I said, "Mike, where in here does it say you can ban gambling?" "It's in there." "Where?" "Show me." I dropped it on the coffee table in front of us on national television. "Show me, show me, show me." He just smiled. Kind of strict. No wonder he's calling for me not to be in debates. And Ed Rendell, sitting on the other side of me, the question was about the PACE program. I said, "Ed, where in here does it authorize you to spend money on seniors?" "It doesn't. It's nowhere in there, Ed. What are you going to do?" He smiled at the camera and he said, "Seniors are important." And he went on. And what I thought was one of the finest moments of the campaign when I got to ask a question of Mr. Rendell. He said, "Ed, Article 1, Section 21 says the right to bear arms shall not be questioned. But you question the right by limiting the number of gun purchases per month. And I want to know which one you're going to betray. Your oath to the Constitution or your promise to the anti-gun lobby?" Ed smiled and said, "I think we should put reasonable restrictions on gun ownership." Why didn't they want me in the debates? Why did Mr. Fisher call for me outright to be barred from the debates? I don't know. Everybody knows. There you go. Because they're calling for federal money. And I said, "Do you know what happens when you send $1 to the federal government? Do you know what happens to that dollar when it gets to the IRS? The first thing that happens, the bigger part of it, gone. in the bureaucracy. And this is what comes back to the state. And of course the state has their own bureaucracy. You know, the dollar you send to the IRS, you're lucky if you get back a dime on that dollar. And when that dime comes back to you, guess what, Sean? It's not going to you, it's going to my buddy. They play politics with your money. 24 hours after I did that on C-SPAN, not even 24 hours, 18 hours later, Mr. Fisher called a press conference. Get him out of here, he's tearing up money. He's tearing up money. No, we had snipers in Maryland. We had terrorists roaming the land. And there's Mr. Fisher on the phone to the Secret Service. Can't tear up dollar bills, is that okay? Is that okay? We had these guys running scared. They were doing everything they could to throw us out. They had help. That bastion of democracy, the League of Women Voters. Those people who are in favor of suffrage, those people who are in favor of all voices being heard, barred us from the debates. It goes beyond that, because it's happening today. Immediately before I came here, I was visiting the elected Libertarians. By the way, we have elected Libertarians in the audience. I see 1, 2, raise your hands. Those people who are elected Libertarians, 3. Bill Jackson. I visited one of our elected Libertarians, Obie Mild, Judge of Elections, Norristown, Ward 2-2. She showed me a letter. Joe Passarella, Director of Voter Services in Montgomery County, instructing her to report the vote totals to these guys, VNS, Voter News Service. And it said, call the automated system and be sure to tell them the vote totals for Fisher, Rendell, Gerlach, and Walker. On official Montgomery County stationery, ladies and gentlemen, we got dissed. We got sent to the back of the political bus. It's happening again because they're afraid. They're afraid. But you know what? It's too late for them. Because as I said in the beginning, we now see enough of the trends to know where it's going to go. I had a goal in this campaign. I had a solid goal. Party status for the Libertarian Party. You know what? For those of you who don't know, party status means, A, we get a monopoly on the Libertarian name. Right now, any Joe Blow can call themselves a Libertarian and run as a Libertarian even if they're a communist. We have no say in that name. Another thing party status gives us is a little checkoff box in the voter registration form so that you can run as a Libertarian. You can register as a Libertarian. Another thing gives us the ability to appoint people directly into special elections without going through thousands and thousands of signatures. This is what party status is. In order to get it, we needed 2% of the highest vote getter in the election. The returns that are coming in, they're looking like we got about 2 or 3%. Ladies and gentlemen, we have succeeded. We have achieved party status for the Libertarian Party this year.
To do it.
Yes. What it took instead was a combination of things. It took the Libertarian message to make it out there. It took a folk process. where you reach out to other Libertarians and you pull in those pieces that work. It took a piece of Barbara Gushaw from Michigan when I stood up on national television and told the whole world, handguns are a girl's best friend. It took another piece from the Pink Pistols when I stood up there talking about gay rights and said, what's good for the goose and gander is good for the goose and the goose, and the gander and the gander. And of course it took something that I've been saying for years, that we're releasing murderers and rapists from our overcrowded prisons to make room for pot-smoking Grateful Dead fans. That's insane! But they can't stop us because now we have party status. Now we're a party. Now we're going to be on the ballot. We're there. Folklore got us there. Cute sound bites got us there. Being yachtless got us there. Where's Bart Smith? There he is. That's Bart's line. Too cool. But that's not all that got us there. You people got us there. People like our elected libertarians, Phil Janis, Larry Goulart, Jim Pratt, and the 68 other elected libertarians here in Pennsylvania. You people who are out there at the polls today, you are the ones who got us to the point where we're at now. Those of you who went out and got signatures, thousands and thousands of signatures to get us on the polls. Those of you who helped contribute money. You know, we had TV commercials running up till 8 o'clock today. There have never been libertarian gubernatorial TV commercials in Pennsylvania history. This is what you people made possible. This is the work that you did. This is what you guys brought about. Some of you did a lot more than that. I'm thinking of sitting up till 4 in the morning with Eric Lucas, my wife, as we're collating 32,000 signatures to turn into Harrisburg. It took them 3 days to process. There were so many of them. I'm thinking of what Mark Hefner has done with his salesman's ability to craft our message, so that on that first debate, the way that the Daily News reported it was that I laid landmines that they stepped into. Through the work of people like Mark Hefner, that we were able to construct, build, plant, and guide Mr. Fisher, Mr. Rendell, right onto those landmines. It's because of the help of somebody like my dear wife, Roberta, camping out on the campaign trail. She's my road manager. We met on a camping trip. So we've been camping out. 3 nights ago, we woke up, there's 3 inches of snow on the ground. It's beautiful. We're in a pine forest. A month and a half ago, I had my picture on the front page of the Erie Times. Barefoot in the sands of Lake Erie, T-shirt, cutoffs, setting up a tent. The headline was that big. It said, "A new pitch." And I don't know why I don't have it with me now. It's just beautiful. It's because of my wife being there. Gopher. "Oh, Bert, I left my Constitution out in the car. Can you run and get it?"
Well, again?
That hasn't happened since this morning. And by the way, it's my special Constitution. I had this one made up special for Mr. Fisher and Mr. Rendell. They can do what they want. They were violating their oath of office. I figured it was the least I could do for them was to come up with a Constitution to do it. But through your help, through your contributions, through your time, your hours, everything you did, you guys made this happen. And I got bad news for you. It ain't over. We are going beyond this because we got these guys on the run. We got Ed Rendell quoting Thomas Jefferson. We've got Mike Fisher quoting anti-taxers. And we're going to keep at them because we're going to keep right on going. About 3 months ago, our state chair, John Stewart, stepped down because he had to leave. He moved for business reasons to Tennessee. Shortly thereafter, I was nominated to become the next chair of the state party of Pennsylvania. I never accepted because I've been busy. Busy getting back party status, busy working with all of you people. And besides, I thought it wouldn't be fair for me to accept that position if I was going to be moving to Harrisburg. But now, with the handwriting on the wall, with a party with party status in Pennsylvania, I want to tell you now that I will accept that nomination to be the next chair of the Libertarian Party. More 4 a.m.s, Eric. Bert, this means more trips around the state.
Cool.
This means more camping. This means more press. This means more pressure. Pressure not just on Rendell and Fisher, but on the 2 old parties across the state. I'm talking about continuing the ongoing professionalization of the Libertarian Party. We've done a lot, and I didn't realize how much we had done until I stood there next to that green guy. Did you see this man? Oh man, it reminded me of something that I won't even say her name. I should be polite. They have a long way to go. We have come a long way. We have longer to go. Now, can you imagine if we go to Snyder, Ed Snyder, the guy who owns the Philadelphia Flyers. He said, Mr. Snyder, we'd like a campaign contribution of $100,000 to run for our U.S. Senate candidate in 2004. And he turns around and he sees a guy standing there dressed like we libertarians like to dress. We can't do this anymore, guys. We've got to put it behind us. We've got to graduate. We've got to get beyond it. We've got to get in prime time. One of the first things that I'm going to push for as state chair is that every top-level candidate, every governor candidate, every U.S. Senate candidate, everybody who's on the statewide ticket, state senators, state representatives, must be at least status of competent Toastmaster. Guys, you've got to know how to present the message. And if you can't do it, we'll never win. When I was there on TV, what I did, I couldn't have done a couple of years ago. The way I did that was through Toastmasters. They taught me how to use a prop. They taught me how to touch the heart. They taught me how to stand here and let my butterflies fly in formation so that my voice isn't quavering when I'm talking to 3 million people across PCO. If I can do it, you can do it. There's a lot of support. We have a Libertarian Toastmasters Club already here that meets just up the street. Eric Lucas is the president. We have a lot of members. We go around the room. Who we got here? We've got my wife, Roberta. We've got Carissa. We've got Larry Goulart. We've got charter member John Haley there. We've got Bill Janis. We have a lot of people. These are the people who will help. These are the people who bring us up to snuff to be able to build behind the camera. All sorts of people. We can do this. We will do this. Because it's time for us to get on to prime time. I'm not going to do this alone. You guys are applauding. You're going to do the work. We're going to start off this month. Later this month, I am going to do a tour around the state, a victory lap around the state, where I'm going to meet with all the libertarians in the state, and we're going to lay out the strategy, how we're going to go to the next step. The next step means that right now, by the first of the year, we're going to identify those candidates who are going to be running in 2004 for state rep, for state senate, for U.S. Senate, for all the other offices that are coming up. Because we have to start earlier. We can't start running in April for an election that's coming up in November. It don't work that way, guys. I started 3 years before the governor's race this year to run for it. And I wasn't ready. 3 years was not enough. It's not enough now to start running for the next governor's race. Whoever it's going to be, and I don't think it's going to be me. Talk to my wife.
Don't say that again, baby.
The signs are done.
That was the excuse you used last time. We've got to start now. We've got to start a year in advance. We've got to get that professionalization. We've got to get the money in the bank. We are going to start January 1st to put together the fund to pay for the paid petitioners for the 2004 petition drive. We've got to be way ahead of ourselves, guys. So if you're thinking of running for a candidate, it's going to be a longer commitment. It's going to be a bigger commitment, and it's going to be a better commitment. Because at the end of that is going to be a bigger, better Libertarian Party. We got a glimpse of it on the TV, what we can do. These guys are running scared. When you hold up that Constitution and say, the took a constitutional amendment to ban alcohol. Why doesn't it take one to ban marijuana? They smile like they're stoned. We're going to do it. We can do it. We will do it. And I know there are people who say we shouldn't do it. Just see where they are now. We will do it. We are going to do it. And with your help, it will happen. We will have, in 2004, an elected Libertarian in the State House. That is my goal. You may not have wanted to clap, because it may not be a capital L Libertarian. I'll leave you with that. Any questions? Yeah. Then you need to join Toastmasters.
Which for a group of libertarians is extremely rare.
About running for borough council in some reasonably small boroughs.
That will happen too.
If anybody lives
Absolutely.
in a borough with a population of less than 10,000, you can get in there and run, and you need very little money.
You know, I should point out, we have some real luminaries in the audience. This is Dan Goldman.
Sullivan.
Sullivan. Goldman, Rich Goldman.
Mike Goldman.
Mike Goldman, right. Dan Sullivan, he's from the western part of the state. He's just moved into Montgomery County. Welcome. Who else? In the corner we have Darrell Gale from the Philadelphia City paper. Who else? We have my campaign manager, Eric Lucas. The gentleman who ran my volunteer coordination, flyer distribution, sign distribution, and 1,000 other things that looked like you did and I didn't have to do. Frank Sabo. Who am I missing? Former State Chair John Haley. Former State Secretary Phil Janis. Saving the best for last. December 17th, 1971, three gentlemen got together in a living room and said, it's time to form a new political party. One of those three people who founded the Libertarian Party is standing in this room tonight, Don Ernstberg. Don,
This is all your
all your fault. You, all your fault. You, David Nolan, and David Walter. I have one question for you. Where's that beer? You promised me the first beer. You know, I don't drink 48 hours before a public appearance. And I said I wasn't going to have a beer until I did my victory speech. If there aren't any more questions, I'm telling you, if there aren't any more questions,
No questions.
Regiment Pale Ale. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're a party!
The Philadelphia City paper is going to list the tally. It's going to say Rendell, Fisher, Krawchuk, other. Right?